Good morning, and we're glad that you could join us on a fresh edition of Corporate Governance Platform right here on Equator 9.7 FM. Corporate Governance Platform is brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, which is a leading recognized professional body in Nigeria that is dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. Today on the program, we want to look at the chairman's responsibilities as the leader of the board. I am Funmi Omoburiwo. Our guest this morning is Mr. OSAHON OMOLE Godfrey, ACIS. He's P.R.O. Edo Delta chapter of the Institute. Good morning, Mr. OSAHON.
Good morning, Funmi, and good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Lagos.
All right, thank you for
having me.
Thank you for joining us on the program. All right, with me in the studio is Mr. Kayode Ketefe. FCIS is Head of Research, ICSAN. Good morning, Mr. Ketefe.
Good morning, Funmi. Good morning to you, our guest, Mr. OSAHON OMOLE Godfrey, ACIS, and good morning to you, all our listeners.
Good morning, Mr. Ketefe. Thank you very much.
You are welcome, sir.
All right, let's take this message and we'll be right back.
The world is constantly evolving into a knowledge-based economy where skills and competencies constitute the lifeblood of public and corporate governance. You therefore need to empower yourself to fit into this new world by gaining basic knowledge and improving your skill set in the governance-focused disciplines. That is why every aspiring as well as practicing professional in governance field needs ICSAN.
ICSAN. What is ICSAN?
ICSAN is a leading statutorily established professional body dedicated to enhancing the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. ICSAN members are trained as chartered secretaries and administrators.
Who are chartered secretaries and administrators?
Chartered secretaries are high-ranking governance professionals with a broad base of skills, unique among other professions. They are trained in law, finance, accounting, administration, strategy development, and corporate governance. In today's world, chartered secretaries and administrators discharge a wide range of duties and responsibilities, including functioning as chairmen of companies, executive directors, non-executive directors, company secretaries, risk managers, compliance managers, board evaluators, and corporate governance evaluators.
That is interesting. How then do I become a chartered secretary and administrator?
Good. Go to the Institute's website, www.icsan.org. You can also visit the National Secretariat of ICSAN at Plot 6, Elephant Cement Way, Alausa, Ikeja, Lagos, to get full information on how to become members. ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
All right, of course, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals. We're looking at the chairman's responsibilities as the leader of the board. That's our focus on the program this morning. And Mr. OSAHON OMOLE Godfrey, ACIS, is our guest. So, Mr. OSAHON, let's begin this way. What are the basic roles of the chairman of the board of directors?
Okay. Thank you very much, Funmi. Thank you, Mr. Ketefe. I really want to appreciate this platform. I want to appreciate the opportunity. The basic role of the chairman of board of directors, as enshrined in the Nigeria Code of Corporate Governance 2018, Principle 3 clearly specifies that the chairman is responsible for providing overall leadership of the company and the board, and also ensures that they bring out the constructive participation of all the directors for effective and valuable direction of the board. So as in line with that, it is actually the role and the responsibility of the chairman of the board to provide overall leadership. And in providing overall leadership, that means providing direction for the board and the company. And also, in doing that, the chairman should be able to set the annual board plan. the annual board plan is key to the success of any board and any organization, and also setting of agenda for the board meetings. And this will be done in conjunction with the chief executive and the company secretary. And also, the chairman actually also is responsible for providing the main link between the board and the chief executive. So in all of this, it is the responsibility of the chairman to run the board and set the agenda of the board, then ensure that member gets timely and accurate and clear information, then also ensure that communications are effectively passed to shareholders, and the chairman also ensure to encourage active engagement by all members of the board. And also, let's not also forget that succession planning, is also key function and responsibility of the chairman of the board.
All right, great. In what ways are these roles different from those of the managing director?
Okay, the role of the managing director and the role of the chairman of the board, they are clearly two distinct roles. The NCCG Code 2018 Principle 3 talks directly to that of the chairman, and Principle 4 talks about that of the managing director, chief executive, who is the head of management team, and is delegated by the board to run the affairs of the company to achieve its strategic objectives for sustainable growth and performance. So the Principle 4 actually recommends that the board may delegate any of its powers to the MD, CEO, as it deems fit for smooth operations. And the MD CEO should also have a broad understanding of the company's business. So the MD CEO is actually an employee of the organization. So the functions and the responsibility of the MD CEO includes the day-to-day management of the organization, of the company. So, and it also includes the proper implementation and achievement of the company's strategic goals and objectives as spelled out in the NCCG code. So, and also to just draw the conclusion, the MD CEO may be appointed, as a non-executive director in any of the company, but provided that such appointment is not inimical to the responsibility and in accordance with the board approved policy.
So what are the likely consequences if a board is headed by an incompetent or overbearing chairman?
Wow. having an overbearing or an incompetent person to head the board, that could be a monumental disaster. Now, the board is to provide clear, the chairman of the board is to provide clear leadership. So if the board is having an incompetent and overbearing chairman who does not have knowledge of the business, whether within or outside, I trust my word for you that that organization is headed for collapse. And again, in providing leadership, when you have an incompetent and overbearing chairman or sitting on the board, you be rest assured that leadership will no longer be clear. Leadership will no longer be clear. And incompetence, one thing incompetence actually does is that it actually brews mediocrity and it brews cowardice. So when you have incompetent chairman on the board control, there will not be collective responsibility and accountability. This will definitely lead to poor organizational performance. If care is not taken, it can lead to insolvency. And when you are not complying with the regulations, the obligations, then you are out for poor performance. The board definitely is headed for poor performance. And when you are headed for poor performance, you should know that the future is actually blurred. And again, when you have incompetent persons on the board, be rest assured that reviews and renewals of organizational statutes, will be totally eroded. So for that, you will not have an open board system. You will not have an open organization. So trust will be eroded, and all this will lead to irresponsibility of the board. So there is need for us to actually have proper, responsible, and not overbearing chairman on the board.
All right. There's a provision of the code on corporate governance that the chairman of the board should be a non-executive director, not be involved in the day-to-day operations of the company. Now, why is this prescription ideal?
Okay. To avoid conflict of interest, it's the NCCG code actually specified in Principle 3 that the chairman of the board should be non-executive director. And in one of the authors, Clifford and Evans, in 1997, specifically mentioned that defined independent non-executive directors as to someone who has no affiliation. The person does not have any connection, no connect with the organization. So the person is independent to be able to take independent decisions. So there is apparent presumption that the board with significant outside directors will make different and perhaps the better decisions than the board that is dominated by insiders. So the rationale behind the need for a non-executive director on the board is substantiated by the agency theory. The agency theory actually states that for the separation of ownership and control, so that managers will tend to not pursue their own goals at the expense of that of the shareholder. So hence, when you have non-independent directors on the board, these directors would actually help to monitor and control opportunistic behavior of management and assist in evaluating and managing the organizations objectively. So non-independent directors who do not have any executive management responsibility in any company will actually help to drive an objective role and drive the objective of the organization.
Does ICSAN have a plan to have a database from which companies may search for chairmen for their companies?
The Institute of Charter Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, one thing we pride ourselves on is that the Institute is the hub of corporate governance professionals. So the Institute have high-ranking professionals who are trained to uphold the highest standards of corporate governance, effective operations, compliance, and administration. So the Institute, the Institute actually have people who are eminently qualified, who are taking time to painstakingly go through the rigors of the Institute's objective to ensure that they have independent persons who can actually champion the cause of an organization. So take note that the law recognizes the importance of the role of company secretary, and it's made mandatory for every public company to have company secretary with requisite knowledge and skills. So, and it's only ICSAN that provides this qualification, these specific skills and requirements. And ICSAN have a database of highly skillful, qualified professionals, which is drawn from all aspects of the economy and the society, which ranges from engineering, medicine, law, insurance, finance, education sector, the labor, the human resource. And these people are versatile and they are knowledgeable with higher standard of corporate governance. And they are corporate governance practitioners that are licensed practitioners in corporate administration, corporate secretarial practice, and corporate financial management. So you can trust ICSAN anytime when you are looking out for having a qualified person who can sit on your board.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. OSAHON OMOLE Godfrey, ACIS, P.R.O. Edo Delta Chapter of ICSAN. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much, Fumi. Thank you very much, Echo FM. Thank you, ICSAN. And thank you, Ketefe, for having me this morning. I'm so delighted to try to be on platform to speak today.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. All right, Mr. Ketefe, would you say ICSAN qualification prepares one for the role of chairmanship of a company?
Fumi, thank you very much for this question. As many people know, the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, as well as its members, they lead in shaping the corporate governance agenda and in promoting best practices which are essential for good organizational performance. So, by this very fact, the Institute of Chartered Secretary and Administrator of Nigeria trains highly qualified people with a broad base of skills on the subject of governance. So I will say that anybody that has undergone ICSAN professional training is already well equipped with capacities, capabilities, as well as intellectual resourcefulness to function effectively within the whole gamut of roles and responsibilities in the governance balance. And of course, this includes functioning as the chairman of a company, among others. As a matter of fact, many of our products at this very moment are occupying the roles of company secretaries, executive directors, non-executive directors, MD, CEO in PSCs, as well as in private corporation, even in the public sector. So to be an expert in governance field, ICSAN qualification is the best anybody can acquire. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kade Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSAN. And that's how we wrap it up this morning on Corporate Governance Platform, brought to you by the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. We'll return again next week, Wednesday, 10:15 a.m., right here on Equity 9.7 FM. I'm Fumi Omoburi. Enjoy the rest of the day.